Going into the All-Star break, the Detroit Pistons are 3 games over 500, 1 game out of the 5th seed, 2 games above the 7th seed. It's very exciting for this Detroit team, and one of the biggest catalysts has been Jalen Duren. I mean, outside of Cade Cunningham, you could argue there's a few players that could take up that mantle as the second guy that's been stepping up and helping Detroit get to where they are. And you could look at Asar Thompson since being healthy. He's looked phenomenal. You could look at Malik Beasley. And the one we're going to talk about a little bit today is Jalen Duren. We're going to look at a few of his clips from the second game against the Chicago Bulls and how his playmaking and defense has completely had an uptick as of recent, since he kind of called himself out a few days ago in an interview, saying that he knows he wasn't playing to his level. And he's just starting to get the rust off. So great for him. Let's get right into it. First thing we're going to see here, I mean, it's a 4-on-5 situation. Josh Giddey's trailing from behind. And what we're looking for is what Jalen Duren's going to do. And it looks like Giddey's just going to go straight down, try to cover Duren and try to stop him from getting to the paint. And you see Vooch in the paint against Asar not really knowing what to do. You also see Ron Holland on the wing, cutting, already having a step onto Sunmu. And there's a few different ways this play could go. So you see Jalen Duren charging in, and Vooch is now kind of stepping into the middle to contest against Duren, while Asar is almost setting a little bit of a screen there, it looks like. He's kind of keeping Vooch where he is, but he's making Vooch commit to Duren. And Ayo Dosunmu is glued onto Duren, eye-wise. So Ron Holland has a lane too. So as you get into here, I mean, what do you think the ball is going to do? You think that he's going to go right to Ron Holland. The one issue is Dosunmu now has gained some footing, and he's not as far behind as I think he initially was. And if I had the ball in Jalen Duren's situation, I would have tried to go to Ron. Probably would have been a turnover. And we're going to see a drop off right to Asar Thompson, a little, not like a lob. I guess it was a lob type of pass. It wasn't like a bullet or anything. And Vooch is already now on Duren. Asar has a wide open angle to the basket. And so Buzelis is going to close in, but Asar's just going to go right up and put that right in. And I think that was a phenomenal play from Jalen Duren, making something out of almost nothing, taking advantage of that 5-on-4 break. And then there's a few more clips that we're going to look at. I think there's one coming up right after this one. Okay, next up, we're going to see a defensive highlight from Jalen Duren. And a lot of people at the beginning of the season didn't think he was able of performing at this level on the defensive end. And he's been holding his own against Vooch too. I mean, look at here. Look at the hands right there. Kevin Huerter's in the paint, and I don't know what Vooch was even trying to do there, but the hands are there for JD. Able to snag the pass, bobble it, get it up. And this is a two-parter for JD. He's going to get the ball again, and I think we can all see what's going on here. Asar Thompson cutting in off the wing. It's going to be an easy lob right to Asar. So Jalen Duren, those are the two things I think he's really improved on throughout the course of the season and really over the past few games. I want to look at a stat I pulled up real quick. Hope it's easy to see. Let me see if we can get it a little bit better. Here we go. So centers with 3 or more assists per game over the past 3 games. I guess I didn't put that in the text, but over the past 3 games, Jalen Duren's at 5.3, which puts him between Jokic and Embiid, 2 of the best passers. And it puts him above Sabonis. And you might say, well, I mean, Thomas Bryant's on that list, so do what you will with that. I think we can also look at the past 4 games and kind of add in a number there and see how he's kind of progressed in a larger sample size. And over the past 4, he's still number 2nd at 5.8. And granted, Embiid's only played 3 of the last 4, so he's at a 5.3, but that puts him in some elite company. So Jalen Duren has really stepped up his game on the offensive end in the facilitating way. And it's not even just half court. It's being able to make those fast reads and in fast break situations that I think is really helping this team. And this is a season of giving for the Detroit Pistons. And it's year round. I mean, they're giving everyone something to be excited about. There's been a lot of different moments throughout this year you could point to and say, that's number one. Oh, that's number one. Oh, that's number one too. But there's a few for me that really stand out. It- I think the chain of Detroit winning, causing a major reaction from the opposing team is the biggest one for me. And I'll give an example of that if that didn't make sense. When we defeated the Sacramento Kings, Mike Brown got immediately fired. And I mean, it was just a defensive clinic from Detroit, and it was a statement. I don't know how much it actually contributed to the fire of Mike Brown. It feels like that was already coming for a while, but that kind of had to be the nail in the coffin. And that was a little bit earlier when Detroit, I don't think people really were taking them that seriously at that point. And we could also look to yesterday against the Chicago Bulls. Malik Beasley, 56 games into the year, setting a franchise record for three-pointers made in the season. I mean, it's just an elite role player acquisition that Trajan Langdon brought in. That's only helping this team, and I'm excited to see what kind of extension he could get. Another thing to look at is the Pistons went 3-4 on their West Coast trip, and historically, I don't think they've always had that much success when going out west. I mean, there were wins against Phoenix, the Lakers, Sacramento, and that was kind of before we kind of knew all these teams would flop. That was before all the Sacramento drama. That was before the Lakers drama. Well, I guess they got better. That was before a lot of the Phoenix drama and turmoil. But through that stretch of games, Cade was a 25-10 guy against those elite teams in the Western Conference. I mean, maybe not elite with Sacramento, but with Phoenix and LA. Those are statement victories that kind of helped put him on the map, that helped him get to the All-Star game. Beasley was also averaging 19 on 46% from three on over 10 attempts a game. I think another one of those situations where Detroit did like they won and then something happened. And there was three of them. This is only the second one. Was we beat Chicago and they immediately traded Zach LaVine. And there's not too much to go in depth with that game. But I mean, maybe these aren't even like the most notable moments, but I think they're just things to me that make me look at it and go, yeah, Detroit had a hand in that. In the third, just coincidence when the Pistons win, something big happens, was against the Dallas Mavericks. Cade Cunningham, I think this was the day after he became an all-star, showed out with a 40-point performance against Dallas. And guess what? They traded Luka Doncic that following weekend. And I think it was before their next game, they traded Luka Doncic. So maybe it's just Detroit. I'm curious to see what else Detroit can do the rest of the year. Maybe another one's coming up, but we just saw them a few games ago beat the Philadelphia 76ers with no Cade Cunningham, and it was basically a blowout a lot of the game. I mean, it led to a lot of reported locker room disputes, and I think it really just showed that Detroit can beat anyone. And I think we've seen that throughout this entire year. They've been able to stand on business and outperform. I mean, they've been playing up to their competition, and there's been rare times that they're playing down. I feel like in the years past, they've been able to perform and at least make it a close game against the top guys in the NBA and top teams. But it feels like this year is where they're able to put it together against every team, and they're able to have an outstanding performance no matter who they're up against. And so I'm excited to see what the rest of the season kind of holds, because I think that there's a lot of potential for this Detroit team, especially as the fifth seed, if they go, or as the sixth seed, sorry, if they make it into the playoffs. I mean, how is that going to go? Are they going to win a game? Are they going to win two games? But that's just something we're going to see. And we're going to continue breaking down plays, talking about storylines, talking about the games that happen. So make sure you catch it all here on the Leggy Sports YouTube channel. Thank you.